Hello, everybody, and welcome to Art and the Word. I'm your paint guide, Nicole Georges Bennett, and it is my pleasure to be with you as we learn how to do simple but lovely works of art that help to develop our God-given talents for His glory. So today we are going to be doing an abstract, and that's not something that I think we've done in the past before. We've done sort of abstract interpretations of things, but we've never done a full-on abstract. And I'm actually going to be using my palette knife, for the first time. So this is going to be a very interesting art and the word. But first, I've got to say thank you to our sponsor, eFlow Hair Salon. Thank you so much for being our major sponsor. Where you look and feel matters to them, eFlow Hair Salon. So make sure that you go and check them out. So today, because of course we always like to try to tie in our devotional to our art theme, I have been looking for something about flowers, but we've done the lilies of the field and we've done some of the other more popular well-known verses that have to do with flowers because I don't think I said we're going to be doing some abstract style flowers. And so what I decided to do was to dig a little deeper and to find some devotionals that kind of tie in with our theme today. So what I have for you actually is from this book, and I'd like to thank my mom because she gave this to me quite a few years ago. It's called My Daily Psalms and Prayers, and what they are devotionals for each day. So you have one per day through every day of every month. So it's quite a thick book, as you can imagine. And I found one for October that just really seemed to fit our theme today. So please do listen with me, and I hope that you really get a lot out of it. So we start with Psalms chapter 92 verse 4, and it says, "For you, O Lord, have made me glad by your work. At the works of your hands I sing for joy. I rejoice today, O brilliant Creator, in the glory of what you have made. The sheer majesty of mountains and oceans is awe-inspiring, not to mention planets and galaxies. But it's just as inspiring if I turn my gaze to the tiniest parts of your creation: an insect's body armor, a plant's growth process, a strand of human DNA. You have made everything with wit and wonder, including me. I am privileged to be called your child." And there's a little quote that goes at the bottom. It says, "People quibble about the process of creation, but it's the purpose that's actually important." So just to recap, that comes from Psalms chapter 92 verse 4. "For you, O Lord, have made me glad by your work. At the works of your hands I sing for joy." And we are indeed joyful as we celebrate and embrace each new day, and we're just so grateful to the Lord for the breath in our lungs. Every day that we open our eyes is a gift from God, and we have to see it that way despite the situations that we wake up to. The mere fact that we have God's breath in our lungs, it means that He's holding our hands and He's helping us to get through each and every day. Each and every day is a gift. So I think once we change our perspective and we look at things in that light, in a more positive light, and looking at it that, God has put so much work into His creation, including us, that it is a work of art. It is something that's made for His glory. We're made for His glory. And He allows us to enjoy nature and to enjoy all of the beautiful things that He has created. So again, each day that we get to do that is a gift. So we are going to jump into the art portion of Art and the Word. If this is the first time that you've joined me, first of all, welcome. Very happy to have you with me. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using not just our paintbrushes today, we're going to be using some other tools. So I have here this remarkable little sponge that I actually use for washing dishes. But I've co-opted it today so that I can show you how you can use a sponge. And we will also be using our spatula. So mine's a little dirty, but because I've actually been practicing with it. So this is what your spatula looks like. I hope you can see that against the white. So some are metal, and I don't think there's any wooden spatulas. Well, maybe there are, but back in the old days. But most of the times they're plastic. They have different shapes. Some have smaller heads. Some are wider spatulas for working on larger canvases. Today I'm just going to be operating with this one because we're going to be just doing some very basic shapes and filling in paint into our flower petals today. So, say a prayer that this works out, and we're gonna jump right into it. So, the color scheme today that I'm going to be using, I'm going to be trying out some shades of blue and green for our backdrop, and these we will be doing with our sponge, and we will be just using our spatula for the flower shapes, and we will be using a small paintbrush. So we'll go into it step by step, and hopefully if you've got a sponge at home and maybe even a spatula, who knows, maybe you've been doing some sort of maintenance in the house and you might have a little spatula lying around, you might want to give this a try too. So we're going to start with our sponge, and I'm going to pick up just two of our colors here, because what I'm looking for is just a very interesting backdrop here with some dimension to it. And I'd like the darker corners to be up here. Yeah, I'm rocking my my stand here, my easel. So just like the darkest corners to be up in this corner here. And I'll do the same thing at the bottom. And this will act like a sort of a frame for the rest of our work. Hope everybody can see that clearly. I'm going to work my sponge all the way down to the bottom here. So this can take a little while to do, but hopefully I can get it done, or at least enough to give you the idea as to what you're looking for, the effect you're looking for in the half hour or so that we've got together. I really hope that you've been enjoying the show, and of course if you would like me to know, how you feel about things and what we do here, please feel free to get in touch with NECTN or with your local station provider, your local station, wherever you're seeing the show, and let them know, if you're enjoying the show. And you can also let me know if there's anything that you would like to see me attempt to do, and I'll certainly do my best to do the research and so I can show you how to do what it is that you would like to try. Because that's the whole aim of this, is I want you to feel confident about trying out new things, and especially about picking up a paintbrush, or in this case a sponge. And see, it's not intimidating at all. It just takes a little practice and just the will to try, So I've picked up a little bit of green just to have a bit of interest, just a change of color scheme right here. And we're getting some pretty good coverage quite quickly. Gonna need a lot more paint. So I've got to come around here. Always remember to do the sides as well for continuity's sake. It just looks better. So of course you can see that you can do lots of very interesting shapes using the sponge. Doesn't require any particular skill to do this. I'm just dabbing on and just letting the shapes form and the backgrounds, and we got such an interesting texture here happening. And it's already quite beautiful, I think. Maybe not beautiful, but it's interesting. I'm gonna add in a touch of a darker shade of green here. Just get my hands on it. I'm gonna go with 2 shades of green. And I'm just gonna see if I can drop this down a little bit here on my easel so I can get to the top part. It's not making so much noise in your head. So as you can see, we've got some very interesting variations and shapes happening here. I'm going to add in just a touch more of blue, just dark blue, because I really love this Prussian blue that I've got here. So just to give you a quick rundown, we've used light green, dark green. We've also used Prussian blue and turquoise blue as our main colors here, but you can pretty much, come up with your own scheme. You can do any particular color scheme that you like. It's more about the colors, that you think would look good together. Okay. All right. So now that we've got that going on, I am also going to add in a few dribbles of gold, just to kind of give us some little highlights. Using my sponge again, I'm just going to flip around because I just used the bottom part for all the blue stuff. This part is actually dried from another project that I did, so I can just use this for the gold. I'm just going to kind of tap that in. Just to add in some little areas here of brighter color. Now ideally what I would do is I would wait for this to dry, and then I would put in the stalks for the plants that I will be dropping in here, but we don't have that kind of time. So I'm just going to go ahead and do what I can, and hopefully you'll still get the idea. All right, so kind of interesting little scheme happening here. So we are done with our sponge work for now. And we're going to switch over now to putting in some leaf shapes. So for that, I will use my small brush, small tip brush or round brush. And I'm just going to sort of draw in some stalks and leaf shapes, that sort of thing. So what I'm doing now is I'm just sort of giving myself kind of some guidelines as to where I would like to see my petals. If my paint was dry, you would see the stalk shapes a lot better. But you can pretty much come in from any point on your canvas, because again, this is kind of like an abstract. So, and abstract is just about interpretation, right? It's kind of an impressionist term. And it's all about your perception of things, not necessarily how things are in reality. So I'm just going to map out now where I would like the shapes of my petals to be. I'm doing some very simple shapes because I'm going to be using my palette knife to kind of fill that out, and I'm not trying to make extra work for myself here. Also drawing out some leaf shapes here. So again, you really would need these to dry first before you add in your next layer of paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to show you how we would then fill out these shapes with the paint. I'm going to use white as my base, just so that it can be more easily seen. So what you're going to do is you're going to use just sort of the tip of your palette knife. Again, if you've got one of those palette knives that have a smaller head, this might work better for you. You're just going to come right here where you drew out the shape of your flower, and you're basically just going to fill it in with as thick a layer as you can, because again, these are going to be sort of like these abstract shapes. So it's more about the impression of flowers. So I'm just trying to map out the shapes. It's a lot of fun too. And I'm just using the tip, just the edge of my my palette knife, sorry. Yeah, palette knife. Had a brain moment there. I certainly hope that you're enjoying these little, I call them classes, but really and truly, it's more about inspiring you to give these hobbies a try yourself. It doesn't even have to be just about art. It could be anything that you've been longing to try, sewing or hand gliding, whatever it is that catches your interest, and you've always been sort of hesitant to give it a try because it seemed intimidating. And I could see how hang gliding might fit that bill there, but art is certainly safer. So all it takes is for you to just have a little bit of interest, a bit of courage, right? And give it a try. You would, you may surprise yourself, because art, like everything else, just takes a bit of practice. And we are all learning. I'm learning. That's why I don't call myself a paint teacher, because I'm not a professional. I just have a passion for this, and I love sharing it with you and hopefully helping you to catch fire for it as well. So I know these look a bit rough right now, and that's because this is just sort of like a first layer that we're putting down right now. Right now we're just trying to establish the shapes that we're working with. And again, I'm just using the end of my palette knife to do that. We're going to come back in and put several layers of other colors on top of this. I'm probably going to make this more of a pink color at the end of the day. So I'm just going to start with some pink just to kind of give you an idea what that's going to look like. I'll put pink as my base for some of the colors and white as my base for some of the others. If you are starting with having let the first layer dry, your background dry, then you can actually go in with your flowers with the two tones of colors that you're going to be using. So I'm going to be using pink and white, but for now what I'm doing is I'm just putting in the first layer of color just so I can figure out where these flowers are. But if yours is already dry, you can go in with the two tone colors that you're going to use. And as you can see, I'm picking up some of the white, some of the pink. And I'll be going over them like this when they're dry. So this is just like a fun little project that you can do even with the kids. I think they would really enjoy using the palette knives, which of course are very safe. This might also be a good project for seniors because sometimes, when you get to a certain age, or if depending on what sort of health challenges they have, they might find it hard to hold a brush steady. So with this, you don't have to be as precise. And you just keep layering as you go. For the leaves, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to paint those in. And that will add another dimension to our painting. So you get the idea. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to let these dry, and then you can add in as many layers as you like until you've covered over all of your canvas. So we don't have the time to complete it today, but I hope that you got the idea, and that it's realizing that you're just using such simple tools, just your sponge and a palette knife, that you can, just express yourself and your creativity and have some fun. And like I said, this is a great project to do with kids as well. So feel free to get the whole family in on this. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into Art and the Word. I really hope that you enjoyed seeing me experiment and play around with these different techniques and colors. And I will see you next time. God bless you.